from the beginning to the end for me.
Okay. Metamorphosis is a novel which tells the story of a family struggling with insect transformation of Gregor, who was a breadwinner of the family Gregor Samsa. Gregor's sister, Great, is the only character who exhibits pity for Gregor through most of the novella, likely due to great affection Great and Gregor had for each other before Gregor's transformation. She acts as the only human contact and emotional tie to his family by becoming an intermediary between Gregor and their parents. However, as she becomes more mature, she takes some adult responsibilities, such as getting a job to take Gregor's place as the caretaker of the family. Due to these duties, the pity towards Gregor diminishes and she begins to regard caring for her brother as a duty. It is Great who cares for Gregor out of kindness, but it is also Great who convinces their parents that they must get rid of him. Over time, it becomes apparent that she has grown tired of taking care of his brother, and the tolerance she had for him seems to fade away. Finally, in the course of added responsibilities, Greed comes to consider his brother as a burden, which has to be done away with. As she undergoes metamorphosis, developing from childhood into an adult, a connection between them keeps fading, and the feelings toward Gregor get worse, leading to the circumstance that Gregor is no longer treated as a human being. Metamorphosis depicts multiple transformations, such as the most significant and obvious example being Gregor's metamorphosis into an insect, as well as Greed's transformation into an adult. In conclusion, her work and adult duties help her to become more independent, decisive, and self-assured, leading to her newfound strength and determination. However, her transformation ultimately leads to the family's decision to get rid of Gregor, bringing the story's tragic ending. This story ends with the parents recognizing that Grid has become a woman and thinking that it may be time to find her a husband, suggesting Grid has completed her own transformation into an adult.
That's awesome writing. Okay, so this is another great writing. Again, I tell you this every time. I wish all my students were to write like you. But at the same time, if that is the case, that means I'll probably be out of job. you know? But yeah, this is another good writing. Really good, really good. So I barely had anything to touch on the last two paragraphs, as you can tell. Okay, of course, in the middle I corrected a little bit some of it to make it a little better sense. But I think your own original version was also fine. Okay, but I just kind of thought, showing you in, I'll go over them, right? But some of the stuff, as you were reading it out loud, I realized, oh, just your original writing sounds just as fine. Okay, so some of the corrections I'm giving you here, don't take it as something you wrote something wrong. Okay, it's not, because whatever you wrote here today is very clear, naturally sound. Also, the style was looking a lot better too. Okay, so let's go over them quickly. And again, just like how we do it every time, we'll take a look. We'll hand pick some of the sentences to upgrade, if the time allows. So metamorphosis. Metamorphosis is how you pronounce. Okay, metamorphosis.
Metamorphosis. Metamorphosis.
Metamorphosis. Okay, Metamorphosis is a novel which tells a story of a family struggling with insect transformation of Gregor, who was a breadwinner of the family. Was actually pretty fine too. There was there was nothing wrong with it. I don't know why I corrected it, but there was nothing wrong with it. Okay, but as I was kind of reading it through, I felt like insect transformation just didn't really seem right to me. It didn't really sit right when you use a 복합명사 complex noun together. Okay, that was okay, but it felt a little bit off. So I said, Metamorphosis is a novel which tells the story of the Samsa family. You can put last name, the surname, okay, of the family, struggling with the transformation of Gregor, the son and breadwinner of the family, and then you say into an insect.
Right.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
So that is more adequate to me. And list. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now you said transformation Gregor, who was a breadwinner of the family, Gregor Samsa. You don't have to repeat Gregor twice.
Okay.
Right? So that also
yeah.
bothers with the whole flow as well. Okay. Now Gregor's sister, I think rather than Grit, I think you pronounce Grete. Greta.
Greta.
Greta or Greta. I think it's German. It's
Greta.
I think Franz Kafka is a German. Yeah, I think.
Yes, right. Yeah.
So I don't know German, but I think that's how you pronounce Greta.
Okay.
So Greta is the only character who exhibits pity for Gregor through most of the novella. That's more proper. Okay, rather than
throughout.
Yeah, throughout. Okay, throughout the most parts of the novella. You may feel like, oh, what's the difference? There is a very slight bit of a subtle difference between using through and throughout. 이거를 걸쳐서. Okay. But you cannot say when you say throughout most parts, most of the novella, you cannot say that. You need to have most parts. You need to have parts to actually make sense, rather than throughout most of the novella. Actually, I think you can say that, but personally, I'd rather have parts in there. Okay. So again, this is one of those things you just have to feel what's more adequate. I think both cases have been fine, but throughout is definitely better than just through. Okay.
Okay.
Likely due to great affection Greta and Gregor had for each other before Gregor's transformation. Nicely done. Great. Okay. Only if you could just replace Gregor to a pronoun. Okay. Yeah. Maybe you can put Greta and Gregor in the middle as it is, but if you can, like his transformation, too many repetition of the proper name, not always good. Okay. Usually not good.
Okay. Yeah.
So, and then you say she acts as the only human contact and emotional tie to his family by becoming an intermediary between Gregor and their parents. This one actually is perfect. The only reason I made any change here is because I don't like the use of human contact. Okay. From the perspective of Gregor, right? He is aware, he knows that he's transformed into an insect, right? but at the same token, he doesn't. Um, he doesn't. I'm guessing he acts as if he's still human. I'm guessing, right, in the book,
Yes.
kind of, right.
Yeah, kind of.
But yeah, so for him to think, or for us to think like human contact, right? We're referring to an insect, right? But this
Okay.
whole thing, throughout the whole story, Gregor has his conscious. He's conscious of he has his mental state is there. As a human, he's inside that creature, right? He's a creature outside, but he's a human inside. So for us to say human contact here, I don't think is
Okay.
you know what I mean, right?
Yes.
Right. So because he's still we some of the readers still consider Gregor as a human, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to say. It's a little bit, not a little bit. It's awkward for us to say human contact here. So I changed that to she acts as the only liaison, which is same meaning, almost same meaning as the medium or agent or the intermediary. Okay. Between him and their parents to keep the emotional ties within his family is what I said. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
Right. So for you to say she acts as the only human contact, yeah, I understand your intention, your intent. But to say she acts as human contact and emotional tie to his family, you don't really say someone acts as emotional tie. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's another reason why I changed the sentence. Get it?
So
again,
what is the proper verb for emotional tie then?
proper verb to have emotional tie, like she formed an emotional tie to some certain person. Okay, that's how I would use it. You don't say somebody act as emotional tie, right? So again, in English or in any other language, you have to understand. You have to be aware of like the relationship between the action of the verbs and who takes that action, like whoever is the entity of that action of the verb. Okay, that's the first thing. And then this is actually not the same, exactly the same example of what I just said, but you also have to look at what you are comparing to. Okay, what you're comparing what to, right? So always keep that in mind. This was good writing, but this is the only sentence that I feel like I need to touch that up. Okay. However, as she becomes more mature, she takes on adult responsibilities such as getting a job to take Gregor's place as a caretaker of the family. That was okay. That was all right, but again, I just don't like to have adult responsibility as in complex now. Okay. So it takes on the responsibilities of an adult, such as sounded better to me. Okay. I mean, some people may disagree, but at least that's my style and that's what I'm used to from a lot of readings and a lot of exposure to English that I had in my life. So due to these duties, the pity towards Gregor diminishes. Okay, diminishes. So like things like this, you don't have so to say the pronunciation problem, but you do have a little bit of intonation problem. Okay, so you need to kind of correct those, and you need to also practice speaking, and that's why I have you always speak it out loud of your own writing. And she begins to regard caring for her brother as a duty. Perfect writing. I have nothing to touch. These are just kind of stating some of the summaries, right, of the whole thing, and we'll move on to the next paragraph. It's Greta who cares for Gregor out of kindness, but it is also Greta who convinces their parents that they must get rid of him. Over time, it becomes apparent that she has grown tired of taking care of his brother, and the tolerance she had for him seems to fade away. Finally, in the course of added responsibilities, Greta comes to consider his brother a burden. Is okay, but notice I said as I was saying,
okay.
right? So without as is okay, but again, notice that I actually added that in automatically, okay, without me just noticing unconsciously, right? And consciously, subconsciously. So sounds better when you add as here, but don't get me wrong. Sometimes you don't. Some people, in some contexts, in some sentences, you don't use as either. Okay, it all depends how you actually approach the sentence. So Greta comes to consider his brother as a burden which has to be done away with. Perfect writing. Good choice of diction with do away with. Really nice. Really nice. She undergoes her version of metamorphosis. Right? Her version, if you add it in,
Yeah.
right? Developing from a child to an adult, or making the transition from childhood to or into adulthood. Okay. Again, you're comparing. Your original writing says developing from childhood into an adult.
Childhood to adulthood.
Exactly. Adulthood, hood, and person. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a small thing, but those things matter. Okay. Yeah, and then you have a 주절, right? Connection between them keeps fading, and the feelings toward Gregor get worse, Get worse, leading to the circumstance that is all right, but 관계부사 where is better. Okay, that is okay, referring to 대명사절, 동격절, right? Describing what that circumstance is, but where sounds a little better, right? Where Gregor is no longer treated as a human being. Perfect. And then last paragraph, I have nothing to touch. Metamorphosis depicts multiple transformations, such as the most significant and obvious example being, let me read that one more time. Metamorphosis depicts multiple transformations, such as the most significant and obvious example being Gregor's metamorphosis. You can abbreviate this. You can just say being Gregor's into an insect. Okay, just for the sake of eliminating, okay, the repetition. As well as Greta's transformation is okay if you want to use that. There's a transformation here, but that's okay. All right, that's all right. But here, metamorphosis, it just felt like repeating that sounded unnecessary to me personally. It's sort of subjective. Some people again may be okay with it. I'd rather just delete that, and transformation is okay because Greta's is actually not metamorphosis. It's transformation. So you use the right choice of diction, and because there's a gap between the first transformation and the second, it is okay to repeat. All right.
Okay.
In conclusion, her work and adult duties help her to become adult duties. Actually, that's not too bad. Actually, you don't want to say and duties of adult in this case. 이런 경우에는 duties of adult라고 하면 오히려 이상해요. Okay. So it's actually this case adult duties sounds better. So there are, I know, right? So there are. It all comes down to what feels more adequate eventually. So in what context does complex nouns sound better, or do I have to mix it up and then reposition them by using the preposition of? It all depends. This one sounded perfect to me, so that's why I left it as it is. Work and adult duties. Well, maybe you can say duties as an adult. Actually, that sounds actually a little better here too. But other duties is not way too off as the other ones. Helper to become. Helper to become is okay. Helper become is also alright. You can abbreviate to here. If you don't like to have it, that's fine. Helper to become or helper become more independent, decisive, and self-assured, leading to her newfound strength and determination. Really good. Really good. However, her transformation ultimately leads to the family's decision to get rid of Gregor, bringing the story's tragic end. I get that. No. Bringing the story to a tragic ending. Do you understand the difference?
Yes, I understand.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you just simply say bringing the story's tragic ending, 그 스토리의 비극적인 결말을 뭐 야기하면서 아니 뭐 가져오면서, right? 결말이 되면서.
네.
But yeah, again, because of the nature of the bring, right? Bringing the story to a tragic ending sounds a lot better. Yet once again, okay. Maybe if you change the bringing to something else, for instance, let me think. Actually, this is perfect if you just use bringing the story to a tragic ending. But I'm forcing myself here to show you other ways, another way. Let me think. Family's decision to get rid of Gregor. I'm trying to really, rather than trying to use the term tragic ending, okay, trying to change the context a little bit, but still give you the same, very much the same, how should I say? Um, I would say just I'm trying to change the expressions so we can have the very much similar context. That's what I meant. Okay. Yeah, I got an idea here. Give me a second. I would say something like this to give a little bit of different storytelling. Do you understand my writing?
아니 설명해 줄 수 있어요?
오케이.
네.
자, 이게 조금 이 책의 내용이랑 관련이 있는 건데,
네.
이 bringing the story's tragic ending이라고 하는 거는 이제 bring이라는 단어 때문에 이 to를 안 넣고 the story's tragic ending만 쓰면은 이 이야기의 비극을 뭐 가져오면서 직역을 하면은 그런 뜻이 되는데,
네.
근데 아까 말씀드렸다시피 bring이라는 이 단어의 그 성향상 그런 표현을 하는 거는 이제 story's tragic ending이라는 걸 bring이랑 같이 넣기는 알맞지가 않아요. 그래서 to a tragic ending이라고 하는 건데 그냥
네.
그게 심플한 이유예요. 근데 그냥 뭐 bringing 대신에 뭐 causing the story's tragic ending 이라는 표현은 오히려 맞지가 않아요. 그렇기 때문에 bringing the story to a tragic ending이라고 하는 게 그냥 perfect하다라고 한
네.
거지만 그 다음 문장을 내가 쓴 거 보면은 like this gets even deeper than just teaching English, because I don't really see this as a tragic ending. At the end of it may like it can be it depends on like what perspective, what angles of perspective you're looking at. Like from Gregor's perspective is a tragic ending, but at the end of the day, from family's perspective, as you know, yes, they had to let go of their son, right? But they don't feel any sorrow when he's gone, right? Which is really, really sad. So again, from our perspective, it sounds tragic, right?
Yeah.
But from their family's members' perspective, it's not so much tragic anymore. It's because they have been so desperate. They have been so desperate about the situation. They're struggling financially because they don't have the breadwinner who was Gregor for their family. Now they all have to work. So that's why I say having been so desperate yet very much relieved after he's gone for good. So that explains the whole setting, the last part after he's gone, how things turn out, how things get better, right, for the family financial wise in their life. So when I looked at this tragic, when you said tragic ending, I just gotta change the phrase here a little bit to a tragic ending rather than story's tragic ending. But as I was reading this just now, I felt like, maybe that's not so much tragic ending, so I just kind of, rather than paraphrasing what you're saying, I just wanted to give an idea. Like you have to look at things from this different angle when you try to write. And this is where writing gets really fun. Like you see.
아니 저 궁금한 게 있는데요. 이 말은 이해 가는데 이 문장이 그 그래고 다음에 having been so desperate 인 건가요? 그러면 그 주어가 어떻게 되는 거예요?
자, 여기서 이제 팔싱을 해야 되는 이유가 있는 거예요.
네.
I will show you.
네.
Now, her transformation, 명주, right?
네.
부수, 이거 리즈를 꾸며주는 거죠, right? 자동, 이 전체가 전구, 부구, 수식어예요. 리즈를 꾸며주는. 오케이. 그 안에 있는 to get rid of Gregor가 뭐냐? 투부 형구예요. 뭘 꾸며주는? 형용사구. What is it modifying? Yes, correct. Decision을 꾸며주는, right? 그 다음에 bringing부터 요 구간도 마찬가지고 얘도 마찬가지고 그 다음 having부터 요 전체 얘도 오케이? 똑같은 거예요. 둘 다 똑같은 문법적인 용어인 거예요. 둘 다 똑같아요. 그러니까 둘 다 현분구예요. 현분구. 둘 다 현분구예요. 현분구고
네.
형용사구고 뭘 수식해주냐?
decision.
No. 각각 달라요. 얘가 꾸며주는 거랑, 오케이? 그러니까
네.
앞에 얘가 꾸며주는 거랑 달라요. 얘는 decision 맞아. 얘는 뭘 꾸며주는 걸까?
Get rid of.
No. Remember,
모르겠어요.
자, remember, you can do that. You can figure this out. Remember what I taught you today. You have to always think about the relationship between the action of the verb and the entity that is doing that action or that is affected by that action of the verb. 연계관계를 잘 생각해봐요. Having been so desperate yet very much relieved after he's gone.
Family.
Yes, that's it. Family를 꾸며주는 거야. Family's decision이지만, okay? decision이 having been desperate 이런 거를 겪은 게 아니에요. or 그리고 relieved라는 감정을 느낀 것도 아니고 family가 그런 감정을 느낀 거지. 그래서
이렇게도 쓸 수가
이렇게도 쓸 수 있는 거야.
몰랐어요.
이렇게도 쓸 수 있는 거야. 그러니까 문장에서 family가 문장의 중요한 성분 중에 하나가 아님에도 불구하고 얘를 토대로 이렇게 뒤쪽에 이렇게 쓸 수 있게 되는 거야. You understand?
네.
Because it makes sense actually.
저 그리고 하나 더
Yes.
물어보는 게 yet이 여기서 어떤 뜻이에요?
Having been so desperate, okay, yet very much relieved. 이렇게 정말 좌절하고 힘들고 자포자기한 상태로, okay, 상태이면서, okay, 그러나 반면에라는 뜻인 거예요. 결국에는 그냥.
그러니까 but이랑은 다른 어떤 뉘앙스가 있는 거예요?
But very much relieved라고 해도 되지만 그냥 스타일의 차이인 거예요. 스타일의 차이. 이런 거는. Okay. It's same thing, but I don't think anybody will use but here. Okay. Yeah, anybody could, but looking at your style of the writing so far, okay, so far of this entire essay, yet is a very much better fit. 그리고 이 yet이라는 거를 이렇게 상반되는 내용을 이렇게 비교해 줄 때, 그냥 문장과 문장 사이에서는 이제 벗을 많이 써주기는 하는데, 이제 조그만 덩어리, 구라든지, 이렇게 조그만 덩어리나 이제 단어 위주로 된 것들 상반되는 내용을 비교해 줄 때는 yet을 쓴 경우가 많아요. Okay. 항상 그런 거 아니고, 그것도, again, it all comes down, it trickles down to like, what kind of style of writing you're doing. Okay. But here, the same thing as just but. Understand?
Yeah.
Yes. So this story ends with the parents recognizing that Greta has become a woman and thinking that it may be time to find her a husband, suggesting Greta has completed her own transformation into another perfect writing. 너무나 잘 썼어요. It's really good. Awesome. So, but as you can tell, again, I just kind of showed you how you can express things in different way. And also now, this is the kind of, again, a class where I don't just teach my students just the English skill. Today I taught you how to look at things from different angle, how to interpret things from different perspective, right? So that's what gets really fun about writing, and showing your own way of interpretation is the beautiful part of writing, I believe. Okay. Okay, so that's it for our class. We got less than 1 minute. If we get disconnected, please do rejoin to set up our schedule. But we'll just rejoin one more time here. Okay.
Okay.